We finally, 6 months later, we move into our home, and it literally is naked.
Yeah.
Like, it is
You told me
butt
that,
naked.
and I was dying this morning.
And of course, some of us look, we look great in clothes, but as soon as that comes off, we're just like completely butt naked. And it's just not pretty. And we're like, what happened to us, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with the house. Like, it was walked in, and we're like, what happened? We moved into a butt naked home, and this does not look like the model. What's up, everyone? This is Carla Araujo with Women in Real Estate, powered by Badass Agents. I am excited to welcome back Brigette, because Brigette Alvarez, today we are going to talk about the nudity of new builds.
Yes.
But first, Brigette, I got to tell you my story on these new builds. So back in, when the market was super hot, back in 2005, AZ and I were looking for a home, and, we got pre-qualified for a certain amount. And we were excited because we're like, wow, we're going to start shopping for our houses, let's see what we want. We know what we want. We vision granite countertops, open space, everything, the whole packet, right? So we were like, this is going to be exciting. So our agent ended up taking us to some resale homes, and we saw them, and they were what we wanted, but we were like, what does a new build have to give? Versus,
exactly.
So she takes us out, and we're looking at these new builds. And when you're looking at new builds, you know how many bedrooms you want, the open space and the bathrooms and whatnot. So we walk in to the first new build we see, and we're like, this is amazing. This is it. Yeah. This is it. Because all we saw was a shiny object. Yep. We were like, the lighting, the doors, the floors, this is just awesome. The granite top, just everything was in cool. So we're like, yep, we're sold. So she showed us the next model home, and so on and so forth. But no, the first thing caught our eyes. It wasn't like no further. That was it. So she takes us over to the sales office, and we start to not negotiate, but start to put it all on paper and see the numbers. And but they were telling us these are the only lots available. So back then the market was hot. They were like going out quick. So the agent was like, choose now.
Before they go. But they have premiums on those lots.
Yes. So it's like, this is it. Choose now. So we're like, okay, where do we sign? Because that model home, that's all we saw was a shiny object.
Exactly.
And we do that all the time with everything. Mm-hmm. We see that most beautiful thing.
The pretty house.
Yes.
And
it's
you want that. But you're not going to get that.
But yeah, we didn't know that back then. We were like, we're going to get that house.
But I know that. I know that.
And so she was just like, yeah, this is my commission. Sign.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is it. You want this house. And I'm like, yeah, I do. So we go and sign. And next step was to get to the design center. So obviously there's some transactions in between and whatnot, mm-hmm. and things that have to go in that. But moving on. So we ended up getting that lot. It was a beautiful lot, and AZ and I were always driving by it. We were just like, we can't wait to move in, because that model home is gorgeous, and we're just focusing on that model home.
Exactly.
So we go to the design center, and we get there, and she starts to tell us, I can't remember, but she was telling us what we can and cannot get, and granite top versus vinyl, and
certain model homes have where they won't, if they're so far in, you can't pick certain upgrades.
Right.
So you're limited even more so. So
they take you only to a certain area, right? And so AZ and I walked out with really nothing. We were like, okay, well, and it still didn't process what our home was going to look like anyway. It just didn't. We were just still focusing on that shiny object.
And you wanted to save money, because a lot of people say, well, I'm just going to get the standard everything. I'm going to get the standard everything to keep my budget. I'm going to get a new home, but it's going to be all standard. Well, everybody tells me that.
And I'm glad you said that, because we were there, we were like, yeah, you know what? Let's get everything standard.
Yeah.
The whole house will be carpet. That's okay. We'll pull it out.
Yeah.
We'll put in our wood floors. We'll do the granite tops. We'll do everything. We'll upgrade our own cabinets, because we know how to do it. But what we didn't think about is, AZ and I don't even know how to change a light bulb. That's how much we do not know about doing anything, or having a screwdriver in our hand.
Yeah.
So we didn't think about all that, hiring and the cost of it, and how much money we had to have to get in there and start upgrading the house ourselves. We just focused
and you're gonna be paying it cash because you can't,
right?
You're not financing like with the new build.
No, so everything has to come out of your pocket.
Exactly.
So our new build is up, and we get to walk through it, the walkthrough and all that to make sure everything's good. And it still didn't hit me. Because I still saw beauty from the model home. So as we walked through it, how they put the tapes on there on what needs to get fixed.
Blue tape.
The blue tape. And it still didn't hit me. I just thought, wow, this looks big. This is going to be beautiful, you know? So still didn't hit me. Finally, our move-in time. We move in, and AZ and I probably take one painting, you know, and we hang it up on the wall, this beautiful painting. And there's a story behind that, but not now. And as we go along, we start to buy some furniture and some of the things that we've had because we lived on our own, you know, so we did have things to move over. But when all said and done and we moved everything in, all his furniture, all my furniture, everything, we get in this house and we're like, somehow our house still looks naked. And it just doesn't look the same like the model home.
It looks like a shell, I know exactly
we had
what
this
you
couch that was so small that didn't even go with the living room. We had like nothing, and you just seemed like you had a lot, you know, as a U-Haul truck pulled in and we started moving everything in, and we're just like, we don't have anything. You know, we have all these guest bedrooms with completely empty, no furniture in them, and the whole house is carpet. And it just didn't look like the model
because
home.
that's standard. That's standard, yeah.
So, you know, we had that cheap paint.
Yeah.
What is it called, the cheap paint?
The flat paint.
The flat
so
paint.
you can, if you get a mark on it, you can't just wipe it off.
Right.
So you have to get the sheen, which that's an upgrade.
So by the time we moved in, the whole house was marked up.
Yeah.
And it just didn't look the same.
Yeah.
So I was like, this house already looks old. The paint looks old, everything. Well, Brigette, it gets worse. It's a nightmare of a naked home. And the naked home was like a nightmare. So as time goes by, we were like, we'll start to upgrade little by little. And the first thing we tackled onto this home was not the inside, it was the outside. AZ ended up ordering the world of grasses and all this gravel and dirt that we needed to create, because the front yard wasn't even done.
Yeah, the front yard, the backyard. Usually the front yard's a little bit, it's desert, but it's like nothing, but the backyard is completely.
Ours was desert.
Yeah.
We didn't even get that.
Yeah.
So, and I think it was in the package or something like that.
Yeah,
that you have to
every
get.
builder's different,
right? So AZ had, you know, he ordered all these things so that we had ton of grass outside in the front as they came to drop it off in the rocks. And I said, hey, Joey, it's calling. You need to get all that out to the backyard, or at least laid out within like 2 days. And he's like, whoa. I have to do this on my own.
Myself, yeah.
And I said, well, I'll help you. You know, let's do this, tackle it. So I just remember AZ and I was out there with the sports bra, AZ with the no shirt. Next thing you know, we get in on the first day. I have blisters on my chest. My forehead is burnt. And I'm like, this is not cool. Like, again, we just focused on the model home that was down the road. We're like, let's get our front yard that way.
Exactly.
It was a nightmare. So all said and done, when we did the front yard, the backyard, it was about a good 6, close to even, I think, a 12 months in that process.
Which is typical, yeah.
Right. So then we move in the home, and we're like, oh, now we have the inside of the house. So we ended up tearing out the carpet ourselves, and we ended up putting up the wood floor. And this was the second year that we started upgrading a little bit inside the home, what we can, you know, because again, it comes out of our pocket.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's the year that we were like, hey, we need to get out of this house. We need to sell it. Well, that became a nightmare because at the end of the day, we put so much hard work into this home, Brigette.
Yeah. And now you're gonna
And now we didn't even get to enjoy it. And everything was left undone. AZ was hanging up fans that were halfway hanging, that were probably very dangerous. Yeah. The plumbing was completely wrong. The upstairs toilet wouldn't flush correctly compared to the one down. We had to take a shower downstairs. I mean, it was off. So we left all these things undone in the middle of all these projects, right? But the day we were like, hey, let's sell, all that needs to get fixed.
Exactly.
So we had to come up with a couple of $1,000s to fix this house up just to move out. So we did, but we didn't get to enjoy it because, well, that wasn't our home for life. We didn't want to stay there. It was just, it started to become small. We wanted to have a family, and things, you know, were getting better. But I just was like, man, should we have bought a new build? What?
It's all a preference. That's the number one question I get from a lot of my clients, especially now, because now we're seeing tons of new builds come on the market. About 2 years ago, there wasn't that many. Now they're just everywhere. They're popping up, and they know it's because of the demand, right? And I get that question asked all the time, and I say it's all a preference. I tell them exactly the pros and cons of it, you know, to look at, and you just have to make a decision on that. The first thing I say is that I personally feel like you can get more for your money with a resale home as far as upgrades. You know, on a resale home, some people take care of their home. They do the work themselves. They'll put the granite. They'll put upgraded tile wood floors, which is very expensive. A lot of times their yards are even landscaped. A lot of people don't realize how expensive it is to landscape a backyard.
Oh, Bridget, I
So
won.
expensive. And that's why a lot of people that have new builds that just move in,
Uh-huh.
their yard's like that for 4 years. It's
so
like
glad-
forever.
I'm so glad
And
you
you're not
brought
the
that
only
up.
one because
Because the second home we bought, we were like, okay, now we're more knowledgeable and we know what we want. So we go into the second, and of course, by the shiny object, we get sold again on one of the massive homes out there. We're like, oh, this is awesome. This is great. And the model home just got us again. But we actually knew now what we were getting into,
Yeah.
right? So we knew what the inside was going to look like. Well, the bigger the lot, the bigger the land.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up getting a humongous backyard. And it stayed like that for 2 years.
it's so expensive
because
to
it was just so
landscape.
massive.
Yeah.
It was like, even if we wanted to, it was like we were going to drop at least 20, 30
Exactly.
grand in that backyard,
Yep.
at least.
Exactly.
And what's funny is we ended up moving again. So I think 2.5 years, 3 years, I'm not quite sure how long, but we ended up putting so much money into this beautiful backyard. And then we ended up moving out within like 60 days because we had bought another house. And we're like, again, we ended up in a home that we had to fix up, based on a shiny object. It was like we fell in love with this model
the
home,
model home,
and
yeah.
we're trying to recreate it. And we're like,
No.
it just didn't happen. So going based on that, how long do you see? I mean, is that something that when you walk into a model home, how do you tell your clients that?
I tell them, I am very honest with them.
Right.
I've sold several
So you're not a
model
Debbie
homes.
Downer.
No, I'm wrong. And I don't want to steer them away because I'm for whatever it is you want. I'm not against new builds and I'm not against resales.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you exactly what to expect because what's going to happen if you're not happy, you're going to come back at me. Even though I had no control of it, you're just going to remember that experience. Well, Bridget helped me with this new build and I'm not happy with it. So I tell them straight up exactly what you're going to get. I tell them has like thousands of dollars of upgrades in this model home. You're not going to get that. So I always try to focus on if you're trying to stay with everything standard, make sure you understand what it is that you're getting standard. Because it's not going to look like this. And a lot of
Right.
times they're okay with it. However, I have an example of
I was
a friend
just
of
about to
mine.
ask you that. Yeah.
Oh, I've had a couple examples. I have one of a friend of mine. I helped her last year, her and her family buy a new build. She was open to resell and new builds. We found a resale home that was highly upgraded, but it was just too far west, and she really wanted to go come back east more, closer to her family. And again, the resale home was highly upgraded, but it was just a location.
Mm-hmm.
So we found this new build, and she was like, she loved the location, and she was like, I'm just gonna go standard because it was already at the top of her budget. So she's like, I'm just gonna get everything standard, and I'll be happy. So then we asked what the standard upgrade, what the standard was, and it just wasn't. It was okay, and she was smart though. She was the first person that ever did this. She was like, "Can I see what a standard actually looks like?" Some of the homes are already getting built, right, by other buyers.
Right.
So she said, "Can I walk into one of those and see what my house is gonna look like?"
That's so smart because
It
I
is.
wish
It
I would
is.
have
I've
known
never
that because
thought
I
of
would
that,
have walked into a standard home.
And you would have walked back out,
And I
say,
probably
no,
would have walked back in because then I would have
Yeah.
probably said, okay,
Yeah.
the shiny object is not that shiny. This does not look good
Yeah.
on paper and built or whatever.
Exactly.
It maybe looks good on paper and everything, but not when you actually
We
see the
walked
picture.
in.
That's smart.
Yeah, that was very smart of her. So we walked in, and even I was like a downer type
Yeah.
of like, this is not like exciting
Right.
type. And I didn't, let them do their thing, because everybody has their own taste, but I could just see it in her face that she wasn't excited. Like it was just
So what did she say?
black.
How
Like
was
there
it
was nothing. There was carpet everywhere, and the upgrades that the standard that she was going to get just didn't look nice. And we walked out, and she was just like, "Let me think about it." I knew that she wasn't excited, and she probably wasn't going to write an offer on it. And then I don't blame her. If you're not happy about it. So we walked out, and she just said, "Let me think about it." I called that night. I called the sales office, the guy there, the agent there, and I said, "Look, you need to give her something to entice her to want to if you want this deal, you need to do something to make her happy because otherwise we're going somewhere else." Like she's not, I just have this vibe that she's not going to go with you guys. So
Right.
you need to throw out something, give her something, if not, so kind of like when you go to when you go buy a car and then you act like I'm going to walk out and they're like hungry and they call you and they're like, "Okay, we'll drop the price 10 grand. That's pretty much what I did and what happened. And they don't all do that.
I'm going to jump off a little bit, a little off the subject here. I always wonder when I see people in like the brightest green car or like a bright orange car. I'm like, how did you get, I mean, is that a color you went in there to pick? Or did you go in there wanting a black car and walking out with the green car? Like, how does that happen? Like, they sold you on the green car. And I know you didn't want that bright green car.
Well, everybody's different. I would want a bright car, but everybody's different.
Well, anyway,
everybody's different.
Go ahead.
Everybody's extra. So he was like, okay, let me see what I can do. And I think that night or the next morning, maybe it was that same day, he called me. He was like, okay, so I have this other lot, Bridget, and they didn't have many. He goes, it's already set as far as the upgrades, so we can't change them, but they're much nicer than the one that we were going to give her. It had the dark espresso cabinets, the nice granite. It had tile throughout the home because that's an upgrade. So on a standard home, you get tile in the living room, you get tile in the hallways, even in the dining area, I believe. But, you know, she didn't like the standard what you get, and just to kind of put it out there, so other clients don't come to me, how come I didn't get this, Bridget? No, it's a case by case, just like a resale. You don't get, you know, not every new build you can negotiate. You can be like the most amazing negotiator. No, every new build is different. This new build, they did want to get rid of some homes, and it wasn't crazy busy where people were just coming in left and right. So we had that room to negotiate. I just had another deal, another new build where it was a new community, a little bit out west, and I was there with my client, and we couldn't negotiate anything. I already had that vibe walking in that I wasn't gonna be able to negotiate anything, only because there was people nonstop walking in, nonstop while we're sitting down.
Sell it quick.
Exactly. So this other client that I just recently had, we were going out west, and it was a new community that just came up on the market. And I knew walking in, I wasn't gonna be able to negotiate anything, only because the parking lot was full. There was people literally in and out of that office when we were sitting down. Like the sales lady had to get up every second because people were just interested in this particular.
Right.
You know, and my buyer asked me like, hey, you know, can we negotiate anything? And I'm like, I'll ask for you, of course, I'll ask for you, but I know we're just not, because they know why should they give you any incentives and lose a little bit of money when people are coming in and they know they can give somebody else.
But you'll still take that opportunity to negotiate.
I mean, of course. You ask. Kids, no? Exactly. I always ask, but I'm just trying to kind of let everybody know that it's not like it's a case by case when we negotiate things. Like a lot of people say, well, you know, my friend got the seller to pay for this. You know, every seller is completely different. Every seller has different motives and is motivated in different ways. Some of them don't have the equity, so you can't. Right. You know, if it's a multiple offer scenario, you can't ask for anything. You better pay for everything if you want this house on a 10 offer, you know, home. Right. If a home has been sitting on the market, then you have more room to negotiate, and then I can get more things for you. But, you know, again, it's a case by case, so I just kind of like want to put that out there because I don't want my buyers, hey, Bridget, how come I didn't get this?
Yeah, like, did you negotiate for me, Bridget?
No, I do the best for all my clients, but when I know that I can get something more, then I'm going to push for it, you know.
And on the going off a little bit on the resale part of it, I know that when I was looking for a resale, we already got 2 new builds, and we're like, okay, we know what that's about. We need to kind of move forward on another home that's already been built, and let's go that way. It became a little hard. It was a little difficult because the backyards were done, but the insides of the house were outdated. Yeah. So sometimes, we still then had to put the numbers together and say, does this make sense?
And that happens, yeah.
So, negotiation is still on the table even then, right? With is that even possible to say, let's say certain things in the house are falling apart.
On a resale home?
Right.
Oh, yeah, everything's negotiable. As far as I'm not going to put any upgrades for you.
Oh, of course not. No, of course not.
But as far as repairs?
Repairs,
oh, yeah, of course, yeah. However, a seller does not have to fix anything they don't want to fix. It's up to you as a buyer to continue to want to move forward with the home.
Because I've also had that situation, too, in certain areas where it's like, this was supposed to be fixed. It's like, no, they're not supposed to upgrade. So when someone a professional, an agent needs to explain that process, because I've also had some people that come back and complain and they're like, hey, like I wasn't told X, Y, and Z. It's like, well, you had a moment to always pull back. There was always that time frame that you can say no. Exactly. But the agent will say, well, you know, I did try to negotiate this new fence. I'm like, that's impossible. So is it something that you've ever run into that problem before where the sellers promise something and it's not done?
Oh,
Does
yeah,
that make
my
sense?
own house.
Okay, I guess that's where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I did have that, but nothing big.
With your own house.
My own house. The one that I just purchased in August.
Talk to me about that.
Okay, so I asked for, in this one, just to kind of throw out there, because again, a lot of people say that they think they can negotiate all kinds of things. Well, it depends on the house. This house was on the market for one day and had 10 offers on the home. And I wanted this home because the home was complete. My home is outdated.
Right.
And I knew that, but I was paying for the location because I wanted to be nearby my office and my son's daycare. And there was nothing available in that community. It's rare that something comes in that community with a pool and in that location for the price and my budget. So there was 10 offers. I actually had to offer $6,000 more than the listing price just to get that home. Anyways, I got it. And I didn't ask for a lot of things. Thought I was so fair. I just asked for the when you have a pool, you have to have a certain latch, like
right.
For the door,
right, on the fence.
You have to have that. No, not on the fence, on your sliding door.
Oh, got it.
Yes. So that you're, so that wasn't fixed. And I asked just for, I can't remember, but I know I asked for that, and that didn't get fixed when we closed. So we do a final walkthrough, and any repairs that you ask for, they must be fixed by closing time. I was in a rush to move into my home. I was in a rush.
And a lot of people are, by the way.
And
that's kind of why I'm talking.
And they just want to
That's why I'm talking to you about this, because I remember going into the new build, and if things were undone, I had a time frame where they were coming back and fixing everything. But even if the paint was chipped, I just want to move in.
Exactly.
But when I moved into a home that was already built and I had everything, the certain things that we were promised weren't done. Like, for example, and we kind of let them go because it's pick your battles.
That happened with another one of my new builds where there was things she was supposed to get done. They did the walkthrough and it took forever.
So it is different when
it's different, yeah.
Yeah, because now you're looking at more things that need to be fixed versus the upgrades.
And usually they're minor things, they're not big. Like the latch, I could have made a big deal about it. I could have not closed. I could have held up closing. You have that option to hold up closing to get that repair done because it's in the contract. They're supposed to do it. However, I had to get my house painted. I had a schedule I was just going to do myself. So you take it as
right.
It has,
I think that was us on one of our houses. It was a pool pump for us. And the pool was massive. It was like in the pool pump, I think there was something going on with the pool pump that was going to cost us like $600. Like, just let it go.
Yeah,
just let it go. I'll get a pool. Like, you're supposed to fix it.
Sometimes some people just have deadlines. They need to get out, and that's just how it is, type of thing. But they are supposed to fix it. So if that's important to you, then we just wait till they fix it, and they have to fix it.
That's awesome. Brigette, you have a lot of
I have a lot of stories.
I know, you have a lot of stories, and I'm glad we were able to discuss this because it's just nice. I had to go all the way back in 2005. Like, man, I remember my new build. It was a nightmare going to a resale home that it became probably, I don't know, it wasn't definitely one or the other. You're right. It's like
it's just your preference.
Like, what do you prefer?
Preference.
So,
and there's one thing that I just want to quickly before go over is that I'm seeing a lot now because I'm going to a lot of these new builds and I'm working a lot of my clients that want new builds. I'm seeing that a lot of things that you think are not upgrades when you walk into these models are actually upgrades. So when I say this, like my last buyer that we got a new build, she upgraded on the height of her ceiling. So the height of the ceiling is even an upgrade. So when you walk into these new builds, you don't think that you walk in, you think the structure of the home is a standard. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right, I do.
Like the height, so we walked into the new build and it was, I think
you're
it was
just
a 10
assuming
foot.
if you see that height, you're assuming it's going to come like that. That's the way it's going to be built.
Exactly, because it's a home. But actually that was an upgrade. So she had to pay I believe it was like $3,000 because she didn't want to feel like she's coming from an apartment. She didn't want to feel like she was in an apartment. So that was a must for her. She didn't have a lot of room to upgrade. Right. She wanted to stay within a certain budget, but that was like very important
and
to
maybe
her.
that's something that if your clients are looking for, if you know that's an important, if the carpet and all that, it's like really, if you see that, feel that energy and they're literally being honest with you, like none of that matters to me. Yeah. This is only thing I'm looking for. It becomes easier. But that's such a great point.
Well, she didn't even come in to telling me that she wants the ceiling this large. We found out. I didn't even know. You know what I mean? Every new build's different.
That was pointed out.
Well, when we're going through what do you want kind of upgrades type of thing, then the sales lady said, "Well, this is if you want the ceilings that high, you got to pay $3,000 more."
Man, that would have been unfortunate if that was just missed, and she would have walked in a home that was just not.
And that's a big deal because you don't want to feel like you're like in an apartment.
Yeah.
So she had to pay for that, and she didn't care about flooring or anything like that. Another client that I had in mind, you would think a bathtub that you see, a standard bathtub in a new build is going to be standard. And again, every new build's different, but this particular one, that was actually an upgrade. So the actual tub, like in the guest bathroom, it wasn't upgraded. It was just the size of the tub was an upgrade. So when she got her home, she was like, Bridget, what is this? This is tiny. I can't even fit in it. And I was like, so there's so many things now that I'm learning that you have to ask. Like, you literally want to go into that new building, maybe take pictures, because to say, like, am I getting this tub, that size tub? Am I getting that? Am I getting
every little thing?
Because it's just kind of getting a little bit crazy where
I was just going to say that. I think things have changed, obviously.
They have, yeah.
You know, obviously they've changed. But yeah, those are questions that are so important. That, and it shocks me to that client. If she would have walked in, it would have just been, wow, low ceilings. That would have been a disappointment, and it would have been back on you.
Exactly, yeah,
wow.
Exactly. So there's a lot of things that I'm learning as I go, as far as, okay, I know what to ask for in a new build. I've been visiting a lot of new builds. I know you've seen my social media.
I was just going to tell you that.
Going everywhere.
Where can your clients, again, where can they find you? Your Instagram. I absolutely love it. I log onto your Instagram all the time. I'm so nosy on that.
No, it's okay.
Because your designs that you go into these new homes
and
constantly.
I only go into new homes because they're to show you guys. So I only go into new homes that I like, that are nice. And I only post ones that I feel that I like, that's my taste.
But your style is
if I like it, then I feel like everybody else is going to like it. So I've been going to a lot of new builds just to kind of show people what's out there, because a lot of people want kind of new builds right now. But also it's to kind of see what are they offering, and to kind of just get an idea. So when a client asks me, hey, do you know about these new builds, down the street? I'm not like, well, I don't know, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to familiarize myself with every, kind of new build around me, because a lot of people are wanting them right now. And it's just to kind of help my clients more.
No, I love it.
And
I
think a lot of people like it. A lot of people, I get so many compliments.
They do.
I
like
love
I said,
them, and
I love your Instagram. I'm always on there because I'm like, these new builds they're becoming just a little bit more unique.
They are,
and
and I like
creative.
that. That's why the ones I just posted yesterday are probably one of my favorite, as far as they're just different. They're more modern. They're just different. Yeah. They're very different.
I love it. So where can we find you on Instagram?
Brigette Alvarez Realtor. You can go there. Also my Facebook, just look up my name. But I try to update you guys on a lot of things that are going around the valley, a lot of new builds that are popping up. So you'll see a lot of homes. Instead of you going yourself, you can just see on my Instagram page.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Bridget, for all your information.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
Thank
you for joining us. And Women in Real Estate, when you move into a new home, it's just butt naked. Interesting topic, actually. So if you are interested more in knowing more about A.Z. and Associates Real Estate Group, go to badassagents.com and apply. We'll see you soon. Bye.